For many, the fairgrounds is a highly debated piece of land on the outskirts of downtown Nashville. New investors, concepts, and revitalizations line the cracks and ridges of the second oldest continually running track in America, destined for a proper turning point in its lifespan. But a turning point transcends to 8 drivers looking to breathe new life into their championship pursuits with a trip back in time to the fairgrounds for one last shot in the first round tonight. Live from the virtual Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, we welcome you to the cutoff race for the first round in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series playoffs and the Mach 10 Digital 200. We hope you had a happy new year. We're glad to welcome you back to coverage on Podium Esports, where alongside Scott Shive in the booth, I'm Kenneth Bueno. Eddie Smith is our producer tonight. He'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, Scott, over these MNR playoffs this season, versatility has been the name of the game. We started off at Homestead of Miami Speedway with the Gen 4 cars, which we'll see a lot later throughout the postseason. We took a trip to Talladega, had a bit of our chaos reign, as always, at the Super Speedway, but we get to continue that versatility tonight at Nashville Fairgrounds with the late model stock car in a place where 8 drivers will have to decide their own fate, whether they're going to advance into the next round of the playoffs or see their championship hopes come to an end.
Tonight is big for these guys. They've had this circle of their counters for a while because we've never done a race quite like this before. Yes, we've been to Nashville once, but we've never used the late model stock. And some of these drivers are good at it. Some of these drivers just don't know. I've seen a lot of drivers over the past few weeks getting practice in this car because they have known this is a cutoff race. This is truly important. It's a wild card for them, so they've been in the track a lot. This is a really fun speedway. This is a really fun car. It's going to create a lot of drama, a lot of excitement, a great end to our first round of the playoffs.
And while Talladega last week proved as a big turning point for the drivers that are setting themselves up for this elimination race tonight, Nashville Fairgrounds with this late model stock car, Scott, is going to be a big turning point in terms of the drivers that do advance, how they pivot that into momentum for the rest of the playoffs.
This is big because, again, we get 8 drivers are gone today, and then we've got the Gen 4s at Kentucky, the MX-5 at Daytona Road Course, and then our final cutoff race before the championship will be the Gen 4s again at Auto Club. So today is a big one, and those drivers, they can't look ahead at those next 4 races. They're looking at right now, what is today. They can't worry about the future. Today is what they've got. They've got to make it to that next round of 8.
And speaking about making it to the next round, Scott, the point standings is what we're going to be focusing on all night long. Talladega did shake things up. Ryan Vargas ended up taking the lead in Group C standings after taking the win a couple of weeks ago. Chase Cabry right behind him by 2 points. You've got the cutoffs, though, at 3rd place for each group. The top 2 in each group are going to be able to advance. Right now, you've got the top 2 in each group pretty stout in their own ways, but you still have a chance, Scott, at other drivers below making a stand, especially guys like Gary Sexton, maybe Alex Monteferrante with Michael Fisher right there in Group D. You've got a lot of drivers that may put themselves in a nice spot depending on what they can do tonight at Nashville.
This is big tonight. We've got some close battles here. We got the close battle. You know, we've got Cole Cabry and Adam Cabot 2 points apart for that top spot. You are never safe no matter what. Anything can happen in these races. You can drop the points all the way below. There is no one too far away to make it above the next person they're above. So these guys are all close, and no one can think that they are safe tonight. It is going to be so much fun, so wild. These guys are going to be battling it out. We're going to be focusing on the playoffs as much as we can, going on the races. But, you know, you got to think about, we have non-playoff drivers race, and they play a factor. So you got to be watching out for those guys. Those guys are trying to win. You know, even though they're not in the playoffs, they still want to win. They're still hungry for that. So they're not going to be laying back. They're not going to be letting you go by. They're going to be fighting you just as hard. So you're not just fighting these guys in your group. You are fighting against everyone.
Always a lot of fun in the build up to decision time for those willing to advance into the next round of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series playoffs. Let's get you trackside to the starting grid of tonight's Mach 10 Digital 200 from the virtual Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. And on pole for the 3rd time this season, it's Cole Cabry in the 51 lining up the pole with Christopher Tate, development driver for 3F Racing, on his outside. Great Q effort for car number 30. He'll line up the outside of row number 1. Colin Fern will be in the inside of row number 2. Adam Cabot, Season 4 Series champion, will be back in 4th place. Chase Cabry in the 39, defending winner with some of these type of vehicles as he won the SLM at Richmond race last season in the playoffs. He starts inside the top 5. Jordan Black looks to continue a stellar rookie campaign. He rolls off from position number 6. Back in 7th, you'll find league owner Ford Martin in the 07, Corey Deucer in the 04, driver from Group A in the playoffs. He'll roll off from 8th. And then rounding out the top 10, Monin Rahman in the 44, needing a big night tonight from Nashville Fairgrounds, and Ryan Vargas, last race's winner from Talladega Superspeedway.
Then in 11th, we'll have Gary Sexton, and on the outside, Presley Sora. Then in 13th, the 24 of Nick Olson, and 14th, the 10 of DJ Cummings. In a top 15 spot, Brandon Brown knocking that out, and in 16th, Connor Berry. In 17th, we got the 01 of Joshua Slate, and 18th, the 41 of Matt Stallnecht. And then, the 19th and 20th, we've got Joey Padgett and Bailey Turner as we're about to come to the green.
Jordan Buster, Brett Baldick, Joey Padgett, of course, those drivers bringing us to the end of the grid. Green flag in the air from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, and we're cutoff racing here from the fairgrounds, and it turns 1 and 2. Cole Cabry has the advantage over Christopher Tate. They'll take it on in the backstretch and will complete lap number 1.
They're battling very close. You want to stay in this middle area down in 3 and 4. It's very bumpy around this track. That's a big deal. You'll run into 1 and 2, let off the throttle, roll through here. But as you get through into 2, you hit a really big bump on the exit of the corner. And it's really easy to get loose as you see Christopher Tate go a little sideways right there. So this car is normally tighter, but in this track, in this race, it's set up a little bit looser. So these guys are going to watch that, save their right rear as we go to lap 3.
A lot of it's trying to keep the rear tires on the ground as your top 2 have pulled away by quite a bit. Christopher Tate trying to hold on right to the rear bumper of car number 51. Adam Cabot staying put in position number 3. There's a look on board with Tate. Everybody running the inside line so far. And for this track, Scott, I mean, it was put in at the last second. Initially, we're going to be running these late model stock cars at Richmond Raceway. That was the initial decision by Monday Night Racing admins, but after a lot of feedback, changes, and updates to this late model stock car that was rather recently implemented into the iRacing service, staff decided it was better to run at a smaller track, hence choosing Nashville Fairgrounds. And it's the first time, Scott, we've visited this track since season 1. So for a lot of the veterans in this series, it's sort of a whiplash back in the memory bank, right, of racing at this track in the sim. And a lot of the drivers who have joined since then in Monday Night Racing competition sort of welcoming the challenge as Christopher Tate trying to mount up a good run here on the 51, not able to do so yet.
It's been a long time since we've been here. You're so correct. It's so interesting, too, because this track, you know, I love Richmond. Richmond is a great racetrack, but I think this track voted by the drivers, and as those conversations went on, this track is very much better suited for this car. So it's going to provide some great racing, as we already seen. Right now, we've got drivers, you know, we're seeing some rubber be put down. We're seeing that bottom line is going to be your dominant line here. You're going to see people run it for most of this first stint, and we'll see how that goes. But, you know, since the iRacing update, this top line, it is runnable. So you can do that. I will say, here at Nashville, if you run that top line, you're going to use a bit more of your right side tires and burn you out. So you don't want to stay up there too long if you're going to try it. But I would be surprised if we don't see any drivers trying to move up, rubber in the top, trying to do something different as we see different battles going on in the field.
Talk about that oval refresh that was recently put into iRacing, how that affects the different lines that you're going to be using over the course of this race. And over 200 laps, that's a lot of time here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. So you're seeing everybody hug that yellow line for the moment, but they'll surely start to drift up the racetrack as we push further into this race. That's a look on board with the race leader right now, Cole Cabry, just holding on to his position over the long line of cars that stand behind him. Doesn't seem to be any really big battles over the course of the field, but we did see a bit of side-by-side action here and there. Scott, Ryan Vargas going at it with Chase Cabry. That's in the bout for 5th place, and while both of them aren't exactly running for, you know, elimination's sake, they are pretty much almost about locked in to the next round via their group. They're going to be seeing each other quite often over the course of the playoffs if they continue so, and both Cabry and Vargas had pretty decent practice sessions. They ran pretty well in qualifying. Now here they are, nose to tail with some other big hitters as well. Corey Deucer, and then there's Presley Sora, some drivers from Group A and D.
They're going to be playing it safe here, especially during this first half of the race. They definitely want to stay up front, keep what they got, but this track is abrasive. It is very easy to burn off your right rear. You can get off the corner just a little too fast. You're going to start sliding a little, so it's really easy to burn that off. So these drivers right now, they're really just getting some consistent laps, rubbering down the track, getting that all done because it is very easy to burn it up. We don't have that many sets of tires. I imagine there might be one or so pit stop around. That's a guess. You know, you never know. You could really, as Ryan Vargas gets loose, as you see right there, uses a bit more of that right rear. So drivers will be playing it safe here as Presley Sora goes to his inside, try to get this position. We'll see a battle coming to the front stretch.
Here comes the Indiana native of Presley Sora in the 98 out of Cambridge City. And there's Corey Deucer manning up the high side, trying to make something happen. But the 98's effort at getting to 6th place in Ryan Vargas, not quite successful. He'll try the next couple of times by as the field separates quite a bit. Now for Vargas, of course, feeling the elation of getting that win at Talladega Super Speedway just a couple of weeks ago before our Christmas break. That was his first win since season 4 in late January. He picked up a win with the late models, the super late models at Nashville Super Speedway. It's kind of similar in the nature, Scott, of the late model stock and the super late model, the Nashville Fairgrounds, Nashville Super Speedway. But Vargas was in that position where he had to clutch up and win to get into the championship 4. Did just that. And Vargas riding off of that high in momentum from that Talladega win. He holds on to P6. Nothing really to worry about right now. Everybody's still quite experimenting with different lanes. But one thing that you really do change up, Scott, when you bring in Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, as opposed to Richmond, is the abrasiveness, right? Richmond Raceway has been around for a while, but it is not as tough to drive as Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. This track, again, like I said at the opening of the show, second longest run track, second oldest track continually run in the United States. So you're looking at a bunch of cracks, a bunch of bumps, a bunch of little nuances that you find while racing this track that make it very different from the probably smoother surface in comparison in Richmond Raceway. How does this car kind of react to this track differently than it would a larger Richmond in Virginia?
The late model stock, it's, as you know, for all race cars, you want to run them low to the ground, but especially for the late model stock, you want your left front, in the ground, almost. You want to get it as close to the ground as you can without touching. But when it comes to setups, and I know we have fixed setups, they moderated with those and figure them out as a group. But what you want to do with this car is, it's hard to get that left front as low as it can go because of these bumps, especially in turn 2. There's a lot of bumps out of turn 4 and into turn 1, but the biggest instance of bumps and those cracks we talk about is in turn 2. You're about to exit the corner, slightly getting on the throttle, and you hit a big dip, and your car wants to bottom out. And if it does that, you can get real loose off the corner like we saw Vargas doing earlier, and you can go right around. It's hard to spin out in these cars, but if you're going to do it anywhere, it's going to be in turn 2. So you really have to watch that. Make sure you're smooth on exit, not using up too much tire. It's better not to risk it and just go smooth off the corner.
Well, you talked about using the high line. Look at Christopher Tate. Smelled blood in the water as Cole Cabry was getting through lap traffic and finds his way to the point. So Christopher Tate, first lead change we see tonight from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. And on the other end of the spectrum, Scott, we're looking at 2 playoff drivers at mercy of being put a lap down only at lap number 24. Up ahead the road of these leaders is Gary Sexton in the 3 and the 96 of Colin Fern. Both of these drivers staying in Group B, but they're falling back to the likes of Gary Sexton and even Bailey Turner and James Bigford, 2 other playoff drivers in this field. So for the 96 and the 3, rather odd to see these 2 this far back early, but being put a lap down at this juncture of the race, especially 25 laps in, is not good news.
I've got to think they must be running some sort of strategy, because these drivers are all very quick. All of these drivers are within a decent caliber, very close to each other. These drivers are always competitive. No one is too far off the pace. So this is very interesting to see them almost a lap down on this half mile here. It's one of the longer short tracks that we'll call it is Nashville Fairgrounds. So it's very interesting to see them back here. I must be thinking they must be running some strategy. But if not, we'll see Christopher Tate right on the bumper of Gary Sexton there, wanting to get around him because he's slowing him up. And Cole is getting back to Christopher's bumper, so he needs to get around him real quick.
It's really the question of who's going to pounce on the high line now that Tate is manning the inside behind these two lapped playoff machines. And just to give you an update, in that respective group, that Sexton and Fern currently reside in Group B, Bailey Turner is running better, but not by much. He's in 13th around the mid-pack here so far, and James Bickford, who has had a really rough start to the playoffs in his Monday Night Racing campaign this year, average finish of 24.5 over the first two races. He has not decided to enter tonight's race from Nashville Fairgrounds, so it looks like he is going to be for sure eliminated from championship contention. And for these two, they're going to hold forward at the front of these leaders. Christopher Tate not exactly pulling the punches right now, just staying where he is and maintaining that consistency. But he is, like you said, Scott, bringing in a large line of cars behind him. We talked about Adam Cabot holding in third. There's Jordan Black, who has moved up to fourth. He's starting to close in, and here comes car number 17. Nose on the inside, plunges for this position change for second.
This is a great battle. We've got great battles. The lap car of Gary Sexton and Colin Fern are now, they're stacking everybody up here. We've got a 4-car blanket right here for the lead as we see Adam Cabot just get a little bit loose there. Jordan Black going for the outside. The thing on that outside is when you're right behind someone, you can use it for the crossover. You'll get a better exit off the corner. You'll see getting a little slide. But again, there, Jordan Black gets across, but he's using more tire, so he wants to get back to that bottom as quick as he can, run some consistent laps. But it's really disappointing what you say about James Bickford. It was really unlucky for what happened to him at Miami, and then, you know, just Talladega's Talladega, and he just happened to get collected in some issues, so really upsetting for Bickford. He's such a strong driver. He's such a character. We love to see him. Really upset he's not here tonight, but, you know, it is what it is, and that's how racing is.
And was back by 30 points to the second place driver in Group B, Bailey Turner, if he wanted a shot at advancing to the next round tonight. A pretty hefty task that he was given going into this race before the checkered flag. As there's a look at Bailey Turner, currently residing in that 13th spot, and he's in sort of the deserted area of the field, Scott, at this moment in time, because as the lap cars are holding up all of the top 5 cars, they're slowly starting to bring in a larger pack of just single file late model stock cars, and Bailey Turner just on the outskirts of this behind Connor Berry back in 12th. And then you look at Matt Stolnick, Josh Slate, Jordan Buster. All of these guys are all separated, but you can imagine that with the hold up that's happening at the very front, these guys, including Turner and the others behind him, are going to start to slowly accordion back together.
I've never seen them so close like this, but this is it's a very dangerous situation. All of these drivers, again, very great drivers, but the one thing about this late model stock is when you look at the car and you see this front angle right here, you'll see that nose is very low. It cuts down low, like we talked about it being into the ground, but then you look at the rear of the car and the rear is very high. That back bumper doesn't come down far, and you can see the gas tank almost in that shot we've got right there. What happens is, though, if you are too close to somebody, if you get into their rear almost at all, they can be spun around with the smallest touch. So it's this accordion, while they're closing together, they've got to be careful not to get into the person in front of them and make sure they're watching their mirror to make sure no one's getting into them. So it's a dangerous situation, and they're all just making sure nothing goes awry.
Just going to say, Scott, that's a beautiful shot of our producer, Eddie Smith, camera creator, Dougie Beard. They set up all the cameras and just selecting all the shots for our shows. That bumper cam at the bottom of end of this late model stock car is a beautiful sight. You were looking on board there with Ryan Vargas. He was looking back at Presley Sora and company as they were moving through, and you can continually see this single file train. There's a look at the shot again. So we look on board with Ryan Vargas, just staying put in front of car number 98. But when you talk about this late model stock car, Scott, I mean, you've had a lot of experience driving it on the sim, especially since it's come out on the sim. It was sort of an addition, an update, if you will, that iRacing gave the initial super late model, then gave the late model stock an appearance in sim, just as means of adding it to iRacing to help with the Cars Tour, the relationship that iRacing has built with the Cars Tour over the last couple of years. It's been phenomenal to see those two companies create that partnership to come together. So to reflect the cars in the Cars Tour for 2023 and beyond, iRacing decided, hey, let's put that car in the sim. Let's give the users the opportunity to race the Cars Tour but just virtually. And you could tell there's a lot of differences between this car that you find here, that's a new one, versus the super late model that's been around for a while. Scott, what seems to be the biggest difference between that super late model car that we used to have in sim for so many years versus this new LMSC that they call it, that they use for the Cars Tour?
So I would say the biggest difference is probably your setup. When you run the super late model is a looser sided car. You're going to be able to run it, and it's a lot easier to spin out. You can really, in the super late model, you'll really roll through the corner and slowly get on the throttle. In the late model stock that we've got here for the Cars Tour, you're really not rolling too much. You're getting in pretty hot, stomping on the brakes as much as you can, and then slowly getting off. And the reason you'd be slowly getting off is to save that right rear. See, at some tracks, you know, you might want to be easier on the brakes because it's a heavy braking zone. You might abuse that right front, but here it's easy to abuse the right rears. We've got a caution out.
And it's Monin Ramen in trouble. Exit turn 2. Car number 44 finds the damage, slows down the field, and that will bring us our first yellow of tonight's Mach 10 Digital 200 from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. So as a lap 47, there's our first halt of the night. Looks like it starts with that bright blue machine in the 07 of Ford Martin. Looks like the 44 just got a bit of help mid-corner.
Yep, and that's a dangerous situation right there. The good news about these cars is it's very difficult to get heavy damage. It's kind of difficult to get some of that right front damage as we ride along here with Connor Berry, as we'll see what happens as we go into one. It just looks like he just gets hit in the rear, Monin Ramen, and goes around for a spin, like we talked about. You know, that part of that hit, it's very much like our Gen 4s. The Gen 4 bumper is much higher, as we'll see on board with Ford Martin as we go down the front. But we'll see that bumper, like the Gen 4s, is much higher. Wonderful camera there. Just gets on that roll cage of the gas tank and just lifts the rear end right off the ground, and it's very easy to spin around. But the good news about these cars is it's hard to damage them. If you slam into the wall, you're gonna have an issue. But you know, Monin Ramen, he should be just fine. There shouldn't be too much damage. He should be okay. Luckily for him.
And you also couple that with the oscillation you're finding in the middle of the corner here in Nashville Fairgrounds, turns 1 and 2. So not only are you getting that rear bumper lifted off the ground, as well as the rear tires, I mean, that car's already bumping enough as is. So the rear tires are dealing with that suspension, getting the brunt of that in the middle of the corner. There's car number 44 with a wounded right front, trying to continue here. Monin Ramen, one of those playoff drivers, lodged in Group A, rather stacked group with Cole Cavery, Adam Cabot, and Corey Deucer. Ramen comes in with an accumulative 45 points going into tonight's race from Nashville Fairgrounds. He's going to need basically a miracle if he wants to make it into the next round. He is behind by 33 points. So it looks like top 10 will stay out here early in this first caution period. Christopher Tate, Cole Cavery, Jordan Black, your current top 3. And what I was noticing there over the late end of that run, Scott, as we got to that first yellow, Christopher Tate was wheeling that thing. He was holding in front of Cole Cavery and staying in the lead, no doubt, but he had to wrestle that car every chance that he got. Whenever he got out of the corner, he was fighting it tooth and nail just to keep it straight. So it looks like the tires were starting to wear off a little more than he would like, and Cole Cavery was staying in touch.
And when I see that and I think about that, I think about that tire saving. I think about how much is Christopher Tate using. Is he using too much here to try and stay in front of Cole? And is Cole just kind of riding along, keeping it easy? So you really, tire wear is a huge deal for these cars, because once you lose that right rear, it will take you so long to be able to get on the throttle. And the exit of the corner is almost more important than the entry, because then you got the exit onto the long straightaway. And if you're slower in the exit, you're going to have a slow, longer straightaway. So it's really very important to hold on to that right rear. So we'll see what Christopher Tate can do. The tires have cooled down a little bit as we'll have the restart.
We'll see how the matchup fares. Tate on the inside, Cole Cavery up top. Pace car is down. We're back underway in the Mach 10 Digital 200 from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway in the chase to turn 1.
We'll see him ride here side by side as we see Ryan Vargas get a little loose. he's gone there. I don't know what happened to him. I think he might have gotten hit in the back. We'll get a single filing out right here. Jordan Black on the bottom, the other drivers on the top. We got some communications in the back. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened to Vargas, but hopefully he recovered.
It's a large gaggle of cars inside that top 10. First side-by-side battle is for third. Adam Cabot on the outside. Gonna get the best of the 14 of Jordan Black entering back into turn 3. Looks like Chase Cabry gonna try and put his speed factor Ford Fusion in here after starting inside the top 5 and staying where he's been basically all race long. Now remember, everybody from 11th on back, they did come down pit road. Joey Padgett, the leading car, in 11th. We'll see if the fresh tires can create an impact up front. But for now, no changes at the front. Christopher Tate holding on to the race lead.
Ryan Vargas fell just 2 positions there. I imagine maybe Sora got into him a little bit, got him loose. We'll see. But he recovered. He's all right, as we'll see Sora riding along here. We got a battle for 4th here with Jordan Black and Chase Cabry. Chase, he's kind of been there all night, but he's seeming like he wants to move up right now. We'll see how those tires come in from the 11th place on back. I imagine those drivers won't be pushing too heavy. Maybe they're trying to play pit early, use this next 100 laps maybe to stretch out this set of tires and pit with 50 to go to have a fresh set. So we haven't quite much talked about strategy yet, but that is going to play a factor because of how important these tires are.
And look at the drivers slowly migrating to the further higher lanes here at Nashville Fairgrounds, especially the 39 and the 98. We saw the yellow line, the very bottom of the racetrack, be the dominant groove to take control of this race. Now you're starting to see a little more prowess out of those higher lanes here on this 18 degrees of banking you find in the corners. Chase Cabry able to hold on, gets the spot, moves up to 4th, headed Jordan Black, and there's the Indiana driver Presley Sora, Season 5 champ in this Monday Night Racing Pro Series, trying to flutter back into the throttle, get out of the corner, rises up. Looks like he'll take the position heading back into turn 1. Now for Chase Cabry, of course, he is the driver to win. Last time we visited a short track, if you're not talking about Adam Cabot this season at Bristol Motor Speedway, but with that win at Richmond Raceway in the middle of the playoffs, certainly elevated his reputation in the series as a driver to be reckoned with, and then used that momentum to get all the way to the championship 4 at Homestead Miami Speedway. And to show you just how strong Cabry has been in just his short tenure in this series, he is already 4th all-time in laps led with 528. That's just his 2nd full-time season, mind you, Scott, and that's basically the fastest driver to ever do so at 32 starts. So car number 39, this Florida native, is nobody to be messed around with, especially when you talk about clutch scenarios and dominating races. He's picking up a lot of pace as of late and is now right on the heels of taking away 3rd from the 17 of Adam Cabot.
He is extremely strong. He's going to run the top here. You talk about all his accolades, and he has them for a reason. He is strong in simulation racing. He is strong in his dirt racing. He is a built racing driver, and it's really cool to watch and see what he does. Right now, I imagine we'll see a lot of these drivers moving up to the high lane because their car is probably tightening up, especially these guys that have older tires. Their cars tightening up, so they're really now starting to roll that corner like we talked about earlier. They'll be easier on the throttle, but they'll more be rolling through, keeping momentum up, and the top helps keep that momentum up there, and it helps avoid those bumps, which is quite nice.
Look at the drivers at the front, boy, they are alternating lines, just trying to find different ways to get momentum on the 30 of Christopher Tate, who just got right next to the outside wall there, coming out of the corner, turn 4, and it's allowed Cole Cabry and company to stay within the range of this 30 car. He's getting a little closer to that red and white striped outside barrier, and Cole Cabry is taking notice. He almost got tapped there by the 17 of Adam Cabot, trying to perform a crossover there, but Cole is playing patient for the moment. He'll try to get around the 30 of Christopher Tate, who comes off of his best career Monday Night Racing finish in 2nd last week at Talladega, or a couple of weeks ago rather, at Talladega Super Speedway. And Scott, what a race that was. Them all just scrambling to the line. Ryan Vargas being able to take that win away. It was just an unbelievable way to close off that race. As here's a nice battle building up inside the top 8. How about the Menifee, California native, Connor Berry, working on Corey Deucer in the 04. Berry did get a bit of the damage in that first accident involving Monin Rahman and Ford Martin, but he's done a nice job to recover since, up to 8th after starting 16th tonight.
Connor Berry, and he's still, he might have a way. He's fighting. He's fighting. He's lower on our score charts for the playoffs, but he has not given up, and that is the state of a true driver. Even though he's lower in the points, he's going to keep fighting because you never know what can happen. You're never out until it's over. So he's going to keep fighting, but it was a crazy race back at Talladega, as they always are. A great segment there to be in the middle of our first round of the playoffs. So it was a great race, and led into a good one for this one, as we'll see Connor Berry just trying to roll on through.
And for Berry, average finish of 31st in these two playoff races at Homestead Miami Speedway and at Talladega. A lot of that comes down to internet connectivity issues. So really stuff that's out of Connor Berry's control. We haven't really been able to see his full potential tonight. Maybe that turnaround point for car number 02. The California native is performing well, even with a bit of the adversity early on tonight at lap 47 when we had that yellow. So there's a lot to be said about the experience and stellar driving ability of Connor Berry, especially as a rookie driver. Got his first career win at Wild West Motorsports Park just a couple of weeks back into the season, in the middle of the regular season, and the 02 holding on to that spot over Corey Deucer. We'll see what he can do as he further progresses through the field. Just a reminder that coverage of tonight's playoff race from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway is brought to you by Mach 10 Digital, your partner for stunning video production and digital marketing solutions. From concept to creation, they bring your vision to life with precision and creativity. Elevate your brand with captivating visuals and impactful messaging, from weddings to real estate videography. Contact them today at mach10digital.com for digital excellence. Mach 10 Digital, where innovation meets creativity. Well, there's a look at the bright blue number 07 machine of Ford Martin. That's the Mach 10 Digital car every single week, Scott. And although he did get involved in the first incident tonight, getting a piece of Moden Rahman's rear end to spin him around, he is trapped in 19th. That's his teammate right above in the 10 machine, DJ Cummings, with a beautiful Coors Light throwback, and Jordan Buster in this trio that leads to about 17th place.
We got fights going on all the way throughout the field. You know, these guys, they aren't too far back. 7 seconds, I mean, that's not crazy bad, but these guys are fighting. You know, no matter where we go in the field, you will always see battles going on. These guys are fighting for everything they've got, as we'll see DJ Cummings just trying to get under right here, under Jordan Buster, as we'll see him go to the bottom right here. There's battles all the way throughout the pack as Jordan Buster lets DJ Cummings by.
A very intricate way of setting up passes here at Nashville Fairgrounds. A lot of times you have to attack the bottom and really set that corner up. Show your hand way before you even get into the corner. You have to establish that nose before you get cut off. And with the 18 degrees of banking you find yourself here, you're seeing a lot of guys, Scott, diamonding the racetrack. You'll see them come in low, then float up high in the middle of the corner, and then try to dart right back to that yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack and get the shortest exit they can. You're seeing the 54 try all that and more, or the 51 rather, of Cole Cabry to get around the race leader. It's been a lot of fun to see, and there's Cole Cabry back to the inside again.
We'll see him now on the leader on the inside of Christopher Tate, and I would be surprised if we have a battle here, as he'll go back, lay back down to second, as he's going to try to cut down here and get a good exit. That's what I call the Kevin Harvick line, you know, diamonding the corner. I wouldn't say he invented it, but he was one of the avid users of it in stock car racing, and there's a reason for that. You know, you can enter quick, and you hit a quick tap on the brakes, turn down, and get on the throttle before the guy on the outside of you, and you're going to get more speed. So it's a good running line here. You know, when we had qualifying, we didn't see it, but you'll see guys, they're wrapping the bottom. We saw in the beginning, they're wrapping the bottom, but now as the run goes on, as we wear out the tires, as the car gets tighter, we'll see them start diamonding that corner. Some of the guys trying to get more exit, trying to get an entry, get that nose in for the entry into the next corner to get a position.
I'm talking about being a pioneer and innovating. It's kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles calling it the brotherly shove when everybody called it the tush push, and they've used it often throughout the season. Kind of something like that. I don't know if I really want to make that reference when Colin Fern is in the building right now as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and the same can go for Gary Sexton. But nonetheless, I will let that joke slide as there's a look on board with Cole, and he's been shooting for this inside every single time we've approached 3 and 4. The problem is, out the corner, that's really where he can't get the momentum, and turns 1 and 2 hasn't been able to fully transition into the race lead. This time proves me wrong, slides up in front of the 30, and Cole Cabry, the pole sitter tonight, back to the front.
He's trapped down on the inside right there, and he finally just got enough room to make the slide. And, you know, we didn't see Christopher Tate. He got to the back bumper of him on the front straightaway, but we didn't see him try the crossover. I think Christopher knows that Cole is faster than him, and there's no reason to push these tires any further than they need to go. He knows that he needs to save them, have a good run here. He's running great, so he's just going to relax and lay back with that one and let Cole go out and seek.
Best case scenario too, Scott, for the 51 of Cole Cabrey, because he spent a lot of this race behind the 30 in a way, playing offense and defense at the same time, because he had the race leader he was trying to attack to, and then he had the 17 of Adam Cabot just hounding on his rear end, waiting for the opportunity in which the 51 would make a mistake. So now that you're in clean air, your approach changes. You put Christopher Tate in that little Oreo position where top 5 is wrapped in within a second, and you've got a lot of heavy hitters that could potentially force themselves into the top 3, and just have to kind of give Christopher Tate that work instead of, you know, working so hard in the middle of that group. As the 39 of Chase Cabrey has been looking at an opportunity to get around the 17. Hasn't done so yet, but he's bringing a force with him. There's Corey Deucer, Ryan Vargas, Colin Fern among those in it.
It gives Christopher Tate a bit of a second to relax, but he doesn't want to relax too much because now Adam Cabot and Chase Cabrey are side by side coming for him, so he doesn't want to relax too much. But, you know, I see Adam Cabot here. He's moving to the top now, but he was running that bottom right through the bumps, and I think he was slowing him down on the exit of the corner, and that's why Chase was able to get around him, as now Chase goes for the move on the inside of Christopher Tate, heading for the second position.
And this is the most amount of separation as well we've seen between the top 2 more often than not. We've seen Tate and Cole Cabrey basically nose to tail, and now the Cabrey brothers take control. The 39 up to the highest spot we've seen him so far over this race. Car number 39 to position number 2. Make this a similar instance to Homestead Miami Speedway, where both the Cabreys locked it up 1-2 in that great run from start to finish under green. But Christopher Tate is starting to deal with a bunch of cars behind him. Adam Cabot breaking free. Then there's Colin Fern, Presley Sora, and Corey Deucer. Big pack of 5.
Man, Kenneth, how many times this season have we said Cabrey brothers 1 and 2? I swear it's been at least 4 or 5. You know, it goes to show how good of drivers they are, how diverse they are in their driving, and then now they're running away with it. So very impressive. Not surprised at all, as we'll see Christopher Tate getting attacked here now by Colin Fern. And we talk about Colin Fern, he's back now. You know, he was almost going a lap down before our caution earlier, and now he's up to 4th position, or 5th position, excuse me. So he's come back.
Sort of needed that first caution to come out for the 96 to fully, you know, go on the turnaround here, but he's gotten to the inside. Looks like he'll make this bout noted here with the 17 of Adam Cabot, and he will make quick work of the Season 4 champ. So Colin Fern slots in at 3rd, a driver who started tonight in 3rd and could not get to the front in the first stint of the race. Now is in a place where he belongs inside the top 3. And the 96 was trying to catch up to the Cabrey brothers and see if he can break that duo that currently holds control as we approach halfway. And for Colin Fern, we talked about it, you and I, Scott, before we jumped live here on Podium Esports. The sort of lack of notice in Group B. We talked about James Bickford, the struggles that he has encountered over these playoffs, but we haven't talked much about guys like Bailey Turner, guys like Gary Sexton, and then you have the points leader in Group B that is sure to advance with the way he's running right now, the 96 of Colin Fern. He's been commanding Group B right now in the playoffs. We just haven't really noticed that all too much. Fern looking for his 3rd entrance into a championship 4 in the last 3 seasons. It's been a great career for Colin Fern over his M&R stint, and in the last season of Monday Night Racing competition, why not turn up the intensity come playoff time? Fern is doing just that as he will look to advance to the next round.
Fern has been around a long time, and as we've known, he's a very, very consistent driver, and I think that's why we don't see him as much, or quote unquote talk about it, because he is so consistent. He's not making too much noise. He's running right where he needs to be. He is getting it done. And we talk about Bailey Turner. Bailey Turner is a bit newer, but he's also a bit quieter. We've seen him go for that consistency. You know, we go back to Atlanta in the Gen 4s, him almost having that win. It was so huge. That was the most noise. But, you know, besides that, he's been back top 10 all this time. So those guys are racking up points, being quiet, not making too much noise, and it's working for them. him. And now we'll see Colin Fern starting to make a bit more noise, saying, hey guys, I'm here and I'm a threat for this championship.
Just one of those quiet speakers that you have in this playoff scenario, because he finished top 5 at Homestead and Miami Speedway with a large overcut strategy that we didn't really expect to see. Then at Talladega, survived all the chaos to come home inside the top 10. Now running third and is chasing down the leaders. He has put in some times that have mirrored or bettered the top 2 in the 51 and the 39. So keep note of car number 96 as he puts himself inside the top 3 as we approach lap number 100. And you just saw a couple of moments ago, Christopher Tate, Scott Shive, coming down pit road, was just in a sea of trouble. Looks like he is finally backed out.
I think he used, trying to stay in front of Cole, I think he just used more tires than he wanted to. And once Cole got around him, we saw where his tire life was really at. We saw him just start to drop. And the minute he dropped past 8th, 10th position, he knew, all right, it's time to flip up the strategy. It's time to get some new tires, try something different. As we'll see now here, Bailey Turner is back and making some noise here, back in 7th position. So we've got these guys we're talking about. We'll talk about what we just talked about, Colin Fern. Those guys have 50 lap newer tires than some of these guys running up front. So different strategy plays coming in here. So that's why we'll see these guys like Bailey Turner, Colin Fern now running up in this top 5 area because of those fresh new tires.
And that's also why you're seeing some of the leaders in the pack come down pit road. One of them was Ryan Vargas, who was settling nicely into the top 10, but just came down for a set of rubber as he comes back onto the racetrack, currently 13th. Now, when we talk about the race analysis for tonight's Mach 10 Digital 200, we're only staring down 2 new sets of tires available in the pits for the drivers in this race. We're usually accustomed to seeing maybe 4 or 5 sets of tires depending on the race, but with only 200 laps here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway with these late model stocks that have done well in lengthening their stay on rubber, you're only getting 2 tire sets, and that is pivotal to take one set here halfway through the race if you're guys like Ryan Vargas. And for the guys up front on 106 lap old tires, the question emerges, when are you coming down?
I really like the strategy of the guys who, they saw that we got that caution at lap 50 and they said, prime time, baby. As we see Sora just come into pit from 5th position. We saw those guys, everyone who pitted on lap 50 as we see Sora exiting the pits next to Cabot, a lap down. Those guys said, hey, this is a huge opportunity. This is a 4th way through the race. We can run this out and near the end of the race have super fresh tires. So personally, if I'm a driver, I really like that strategy of cutting it into a 3rd and having a 50 lap fast stint, and then having near the end with 50 laps to go being able to pit again and having some super fresh tires. Hopefully a caution might fall their way, so we'll see. It's just drivers doing different things, and not only one of them can win it. So but personally, I like that tire strategy as we see a lot of different things going on.
You could also imagine too, Scott, that in a late race scenario, if you get a caution, you extend this race to green, white, checkered territory, best believe you're going to want fresh tires, right? We didn't see it come out in fruitful ways immediately after the first yellow with guys like Bailey Turner, but over this long run, it's starting to really prove itself. So we'll see exactly how each driver takes in this strategy. We know that the top 2 leaders, among others, have gone well past halfway, so we know that they can take another set of tires, be fine if they need to extend past 100 laps or so. Well, they probably don't need to, and then go for another fresh set if really necessary. So it's all going to be a matter of time, but we do know that the old set of tires is really wearing out as one car hits the barrels there coming onto pit road, and that is the 4 Brett Baldick, who was coming in from 12th place.
That was an aggressive hit. I didn't quite see it, but luckily he made it to pit road, so there's going to be no caution. He's coming to pit. He's been running out in these tires quite a while, and he just overshoots it. Oh, that's probably going to be a bit of wheel damage, and he's going to be in pit for that one for a little bit, but just overshoots that entry, and it's really easy. You've got that wall you see on his left that he's running, trying to slow down, get to pit road speed, and that wall disappears on your left, and immediately there on your right is a tire barrier. It's a quick cut in with a hard left turn to get into the pits. So very unfortunate for Brett, but he's out, he's pitted pretty quick, and he's going to get back going. Hopefully not any right front wheel damage there, but an aggressive hit there on the pit entry.
It's a really sketchy entry to pit road here at Nashville Fairgrounds, and you kind of want to have that balance, right, of keeping your speed up in the middle of the corner while also, you know, not losing a lot of time, and then also making pit road so you don't hit the barrels like Brett Baldick just did. He is going to be just okay, though. He'll come back on track and we'll be fine, but he will fall down approximately 2 or more laps down. It looks like, as we see it, 4 laps down, back in 20th, so to the tune of multiple laps behind the leaders. We'll see if we can come back, although this race has been green so far as we approach 84 laps to go from the fairgrounds. Here's a look at the Cabry brothers, your top 2 leaders, up by 3 seconds over the next driver in line, Corey Deucer, who has settled into 3rd place, and Colin Fern, we saw him in the podium spot earlier on in this run. He has fallen back to 4th, but we are still wondering when these 3 are ultimately going to hit pit road. Glenn Gardner, New Jersey's Adam Cabot, already did so just a couple of laps ago. We saw guys like Ryan Vargas come in. Of course, Bailey Turner was one of those on the same strategy as Fern, and, you know, DJ Cummings. But there's so many drivers in the mix that are on very different sets of tires. Turner did just come out, though, about a lap ago. We're wondering, these guys on 118 lap old tires, if they will survive this long, as Chase Cabry takes over the lead, and Cole didn't give him much of a fight.
No, Cole really gave him that one. He could see that Chase was kind of running him down. He probably saved a bit more tire than Cole did. Cole was definitely keeping up with Christopher earlier. Might have used up just a little more tire than that 39 of Chase. So now Chase will stomp away with the lead. But, you know, right now, if I'm the Cabry brothers, I'm thinking, hey, we're doing great. Let's keep running. You know, they've got 3 seconds on the 3rd place car. There's really no need to pit right now. You know, if I were them, I'd be waiting as long as they can until they might start falling, because again, the longer they wait, the better and fresher set they'll have for the end of this race. So right now, with the 3-second gap to those guys in the back, I'm hanging out. I'm saying, hey, we're doing great right now.
What's really interesting, too, to take note of as Cabot goes to the inside of Cole Cabry looking to unlap himself, is that there are a lot of drivers in this field, bulk of them, in fact, that are 2 laps down. And that's not because they had problems heading into pit road. That's because this track is 596 miles long. It is so short that if you do pit under green, you're falling 2 laps down, believe it or not. Maybe a best case scenario 1 lap down, but you're going to find yourself 2 laps down or more, much like guys Christopher Tate, Presley Sora, and of course that 17 of Adam Cabot. And you look further down the list, it's going to be 2 laps down or more. So it's a pretty significant hump you have to deal with. And if you can ask the question too, Scott, staying out this long for the top 3, is that really going to play a big role in this? Is that going to help the effects of being put a lap down by the drivers who cycle around you, or is it going to exacerbate the problem?
I think for other drivers, it might exacerbate that problem, because it's just such a difficult situation when you're a lap down. It's really weird, and it's different. We don't see this a lot. Usually we'll see all the guys cycle through and pit, but the difference for these top 3 is they've just been able to run consistent laps on these old tires. So there's really no reason for them to pit, and there's reason to save. You know, we'll see at some point when they do eventually finally pit, we'll see a lot of those guys cycle around, but you'll go 2 laps down on this track when you pit, like we talked about. So you need to get at least 1 lap down, because then when those leaders eventually pit and cycle, you will cycle that lead lap. But I think for purposes of points, thinking about where you're running, it definitely makes it a little bit more difficult as a driver who has pitted and has been 2 laps down. So I think it's a little more difficult, but I think it'll cycle out in the end for sure.
So everybody all just trying to settle themselves out in this cycle with around 74 laps to go, and you're seeing a lot of traffic get congested quite a bit between lap cars and lead lap machines, as there is Cole Cabry, former race leader, pole sitter tonight from Nashville Fairgrounds, into pit road. But the biggest thing to note, Scott, is that he's coming in all by himself. Chase Cabry did not follow him to the lane, neither did the Speed Factor teammate of Corey Deucer. So an alternate approach here by the 51.
I imagine Chase will probably come here, if not the next lap. He could probably manage, yeah, as he stays out. He'll probably come in, I've got to guess, this next lap, because he does have a bit fresher tires than his brother in Cole, as we Corey also stay out. But I have to imagine that he's got to have to pit soon. So we'll see how that goes. Yes, as he's slowing down, I believe he's coming to pit road here.
Here comes the 39 through 3 and
Nope.
4. Looks like he will not come in. Corey Deucer,
continue
though,
on.
chirped over the radio. Looks like he's going to pivot to the left. He'll come down under the apron, so the 04 of Deucer slows down in enough time. He enters pit road by him. His lonesome will give DJ Cummings and Colin Fern second and third. So it's all on this 39 car of Chase Cabre to see if he can hold out a little longer on his set, or whether he will come down in time. He's got Presley Sora right in front of him. It looks like also Adam Cabot in the 17. Those two that have recently unlapped themselves to be around 1 lap down on the racetrack. It looks like Cabre's going to continue to stay out. So an interesting call here, Scott. Are you sure it's going to pay out if you stay out longer as the 39 car, or is it the jackpot to pit where Deucer and Cole Cabre did?
You know, personally, staying out this long, 132 lap stand, I would have pitted with Cole and Deucer because, you know, you can only run so long. Yes, he's putting in consistent laps, but that gap to the cars behind him will continue to close, and that gap won't be able to reset. You can only get so far back on that gap that, you know, say Cabre falls to, you know, 6th, or who knows, you've only got a certain amount of laps to make it back to that first place position. So I would be pitting very, very soon here if I were him, because that gap might get too close and he might not have enough time to use the freshness of those tires. But we'll just have to see as he continues to run it out here in first place, as he continues to go through 3 and 4 past that pit entry.
Keep an eye on whether car number 39 will come in sooner than later. We'll approach 65 laps to go here from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. And looking at the difference in pit stops between Cole and Corey. Corey Deucer fell 2 laps down. He has fallen all the way back to P16. There's a look at his Ford Mustang there running in front of Cole Cabre. But for Cole, he's in P6, just a lap down only on an 11.9 second stop. And off our producer Eddie Smith tells us that it was a 2-tire call from Cabre and a 4-tire call by Deucer. Whether this pays off, I'm not entirely sure, but this is really a rare instance, Scott, where we're seeing right side tires being taken at this juncture of the race, and might just help you stay in striking distance with all those around you, especially when you're looking at guys going 2 laps down or more at a track this short.
It's very, very rare that we see that on almost all the tracks we go to and all the cars we use. 4 tires is the call. You know, a yellow would be really bad right now as well. We talked about that difficulty with everything going on. And a big note here from our social media, Cameron Arbenon, she said it'd be very difficult because of all those people a lap down. But we talk about that 2-tire call from Cole and some of the other drivers. That's doable here. That's manageable. You can do that because you're using so much of those right sides on this racetrack that those left sides are really kind of just hanging along, not really getting too much wear on it, that you can use those 2 tires on the outside to really make up some ground. So it's an aggressive strategy for sure, because you definitely, 4 tires is always better than 2, but it's definitely something that you can work with here. So we've got interesting stuff going on all over the board. Almost the entire field is either 1 or 2 laps down, and Chase Cabre continues to run it out.
And here's a look at Jordan Black, car number 14, driver out of Apopka, Florida, and made his first start this season in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series. And while we won't be able to see multi-seasons out of car number 14 just because the series is ending here in February, you know, for Black has been absolutely phenomenal in his short tenure in this series. Has had the highest average finish in his short career, of course, only a couple of starts, but has certainly proved to be one of the best drivers in this series already to start. I mean, second places, third places, top 5s, top 10s, you name it. Consistent all across the board. And while Jordan Black did have a really good start to this race in P6, looks like all of this strategy talk has pushed him to 14th, 2 laps down. But always good to see Jordan Black on track and a very aggressive front end with his Dodge.
Very, very, I love Jordan Black. I really do. He's awesome. You know, hopefully with the ending of MNR, hopefully something might spring up and all these drivers will be able to find another series again, because the racing between all of these guys is just amazing, and there's really nothing like it. these drivers and hope to see them doing amazing things. Hope to see them back in other series together again, because amazing. But talking about Jordan Black, he is just a caliber of driver. We've seen him for such a short time, but he's done absolutely amazing. You know, I run the late model stock almost every day, and I was actually in a race a week ago at Langley, and I caught Jordan Black in one of my races practicing, getting some practice in this late model stock in that race with me. So it was really cool to be with him. But I was like, man, it is cool to be racing against such a caliber driver. So all these drivers, just they're renowned for a reason. They're here for a reason, and they're able to fight for this championship for a reason.
You know, it's always funny to come across these M&R drivers in the sim on an everyday basis in official sessions, because I can go into an A fix, a B fix, maybe even a C fixer, or whatever's out in the sim, especially on the oval side, and I'll see a Monday Night Racing driver in my split, and it's sort of that mutual respect of, I love commentating the series that you run. You are a phenomenal driver. I respect how good you are, but I know you're going to whoop my butt in the middle of this session, because no way my skill level is ever going to be as good as yours. And we've got the race leader, Chase Cabre, finally electing for pit road after 147 laps of green flag usage on his tires. So the 39 will pit, handing the lead off to DJ Cummings. Colin Fern will take over second. Now the real question is, Scott, how much damage will be dealt? Where will Cabre settle out in all of this?
You know, after running out for so long, I've got to say the end of the top 10, maybe even 11th. I think we'll see if he took 2 or 4 there. I hope he took 4, because with 50 laps to go, I hope he's going to just blast through and start going. But we'll have to see what the call was. But let's see where he falls to. It's going to be interesting, as we already see him start to pick up the pace and absolutely put some speed on from our producer, Eddie Smith, putting down, he said, 2 tires. So we'll see how that goes for the driver of Chase Cabre as he falls. I believe he's in 8th or around that area or so. So we'll see how it goes for him. We'll see what he can do with these 2 fresh ones.
Make that cut at 11.5 seconds in the box. Did not waste a lot of time. He's only 1 lap down, and he has to catch up to this guy right here, the 98 of Presley Sora, who just got around the race leader and has put himself back on the lead lap. So the 39 of Chase Cabre putting himself in a pretty formidable spot where he can unlap himself in a good amount of time, and as everybody else goes through, might have an opportunity at getting back to the lead.
We're going to see him.
He'll get around Fern here.
Absolutely, he's going to be pushing it to the absolute limit. He is almost 17, maybe 18, maybe even more, almost 20 seconds back from the lead now. He's going to be after making up a lot of time, almost half a second a lap, maybe 4/10 of a second. So he's going to be really pushing it here, almost looking at maybe some qualifying times here for the beginning, but it's definitely possible. But I would definitely say that Cole, Ryan Vargas, any of those guys may be in a better position, but you know what we know about Chase, he can get it done if anyone can. So we'll see if he can get back to the front here. But back to the iRacing, you know, it's so fun, like you said, to come along those guys. I've seen a few guys like Joey Padgett, some of the other guys like we talked about, Jordan Black, in some of my sessions, and I have a bit of a different approach. Normally I'm like, all right, I know your caliber, now let me try to beat you. I usually don't, but I usually go for it. But you know, it goes to show these drivers know what they're doing, and it's really cool. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, I commentate you, but now I get to drive against you.
You know, you have way more fight in your soul than I do, because I already accept defeat when I see the names pixelated on my screen. I'm like, yeah, I know how good you are. I really adore commentating your series, but I know how good you are, and I know how you're going to perform, especially in comparison to me. But it's always a lot of fun to encounter all of them in the sim on an everyday basis. Such a great thing about the iRacing platform is just you can encounter anyone, whether it be IndyCar drivers, NASCAR drivers, Formula One talent, rallycross drivers, retired drivers, young and up-and-coming talent, you name it, you can find all of that and more on iRacing. It's just a lot of fun to see, you know, the activeness of these drivers here in Monday Night Racing, everyone across the board as we go forward. You look at Adam Cabot getting around Christopher Tate. That's a position tussle for 9th place, and Tate hit the outside wall there. Not sure if that's going to really give him that much damage, but for the moment he settles nicely. And there's a look at Cole Cabre, who has been able to move up to 5th and he's finding himself in a pretty big group of cars, Scott Shive. He's got Ford Martin up ahead, Ryan Vargas too as well, and then Colin Fern, who's way up the road, but his biggest targets are car number 26 and car number 07, trying to settle through some lap traffic.
At this point, he is a bit frustrated right now because all these cars need to get out of the way. He's trying to get around. He's trying to make a run for the front, and there is lap traffic everywhere, as we'll see. Some of them are rolling back, giving him the position so he can get a faster line, but very difficult. He's kind of crowd cover here, trying to get around everybody, so it's very difficult when you've got a big group in front of you like this, but he's just going to go to work and say, all right, you know, these guys, some of these guys slower than me, some of these lap cars, just got to move around, try to do what I can, but then I got to work out for these other people. He's going to go for Vargas, go for 4th position, so he's going to battle it out, try to get to the front.
He gets to the outside of Ford Martin now, looks ahead to car number 26 of Ryan Vargas, and there you look at Chase Caber, who has finally unlapped himself, but he's still in pursuit of these guys inside the top 5. And what's going to be really interesting about seeing these two drivers, 3rd and 4th on the racetrack, Vargas and Cole Cabre, is that as they advance to the next round, which it appears they will after tonight's race from the fairgrounds, they're going to be facing each other. The rules are in this bracket playoff system, Scott, is that the top 2 from Group A advance to the next round, but they will go up against the 2 drivers that advance from Group C, and so forth with Group B and Group D. Top 2 drivers in each of those groups will come together. Vargas is the points leader in Group C as long as he can hold this spot over Chase Cabre, who's still trying to recover in the middle of his cycle. So Cole and Ryan are going to have to do battle at some point in the next couple of weeks as they advance. Tonight might be a little preview at this point of the race here with 37 laps to go.
And we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of it, and Cole is going to be no give, and he's going to be all take right now, just trying to get under Ryan Vargas. As he slips the nose, Vargas gets loose on entry, and Cole is going to go right around, but Vargas is not going to let it go that easily. He's got a bit of a power run on the outside, try to gain some speed here. Cole, just a nose left on Vargas. He's going to try to slide up, but can't do it. Vargas is still there. Oh, he's going to slice him just a little bit. He's going to cut him off a little bit. Vargas on the radio, probably not happy about that one. Squeezed him into the wall a little bit, and Vargas now settles into 5th, Cole into 4th. As we'll see, that was a nice battle there. Hopefully we'll see some more of it, but Cole now sets out for the next guy.
Vargas fought all the way running up the hill out of the corner, and the 51 just shut the door on him, so Vargas falls back to 3rd. There's a look at Colin Fern, who we saw pit earlier in this race. Worked for him in the moment, but now he is suffering the consequences of having to pit this late in the race, especially as it has gone green. So car number 96 heading in, and we also should expect the race leader, DJ Cummings, in the 10 to come in on 119 lap old tires, the 07 of Ford Martin. They probably will be scheduled to pit, or else their tires are probably going to explode at some point if they stay as long as they do, and that will give the lead to Cole Cabre, who has that advantage over Ryan Vargas and still has ways to go before you get to Chase Cabre, who has cycled out on his position, which you can question, Scott, whether Chase waited a little too long on his tenure to come down pit road, because he might pay the price. 30 laps here at Nashville Fairgrounds is quick, and then you're out of there.
I think he did. I think he waited too long. You know, we see Cole now. He's up in, I believe, 2nd position. Yes, and so he's only 7 seconds back to our leader, or excuse me, 4 seconds back. Oh, as we got Cole getting into Gary Sexton. These lap cars are in the way of him. He's trying to get around. It was giving him a hard time on the top, and now they're all stacked up. Vargas is now back on the bottom, trying to get him below. Oh, this is a tight battle. That was difficult there. Cole was down on the bottom, and Gary Sexton got loose right in front of him and gave him a little tap. Very much slowed Cole down. But back to Chase, I think he definitely did wait just a little too long. Now, if I'm DJ Cummings, however, I am now 4.5 seconds ahead of Cole. I'm going to stay out as long as I can. If he pits, he'll lose tons of positions, but if he stays out, he might not win the race, but I think he could pull out a decent top 5, and that would be a great run for today. So if I'm DJ, pitting is done, and I'm going to try to run it out, but you never know with some of these drivers. But that was a hairy situation there for Cole, but he made it out. 4 seconds back to DJ.
Boy, Cabry dodged a bullet there in the middle of that traffic with the three of Gary Sexton running the high side. Then came Corey Deucer, almost gave him a tap on the rear end, and so did Ryan Vargas emerge into the picture. And it got really scary for a moment there for the second place car in Cole Cabry, but he's able to survive. We're going to hold tight for the moment. 26 laps to go here from the fairgrounds. There's your race leader, DJ Cummings, in the 10. Now the question is whether he puts on 2 tires or 4. We've seen the big difference in the amount of time you lose, whether you go for the 4 tires or whether you go for the right side tires only. For Cummings, he has eclipsed 127 laps on his stint. He runs up high, and it's all going to be a matter of time. But with 24 laps to go, need to make a quick decision at this point if you want to cycle out. But no doubt you're going to give Cole Cabry the race lead back, and this would be his second win of the first round, and a statement would be made significantly, Scott, if you're Cole Cabry.
Absolutely. He's already in the lead of his group by 80. He's 80 points ahead, you know, only 2 points ahead of Cabot. But, I mean, a dominant performance here by the Cabry brothers. The difference maker, I believe, was when they decided to pit, as now we'll see Cole coming up here on the inside of DJ for the lead. Cole Cabry will be your leader and assume the lead. We'll see what Cummings will do. But now Cole just says, all right, I've got to set it out, and this is how I want to finish. Let me just run it smooth and be here. It's 1.5 seconds back to the third place car of Vargas. I imagine DJ Cummings will fall back behind him. So excellent position here, excellent strategy for Cabry. Now he's just got to run it out with 20 to go.
And we'll see if DJ Cummings ends up acting as the Mockingjay for all those that have ran over 100 laps on their set of tires, as there's Bailey Turner. No problem there, getting to the inside, ran it like clockwork. And Bailey Turner, phenomenal job tonight here from the fairgrounds. Haven't talked about him as he started tonight from 20th place. But the McKinleyville, California native has slotted up to a top 3 position. And in his group, which is Group B, along with Colin Fern, he and Fern would both advance swimmingly into the next round. Turner might just take control of that group entirely with the way he's running in comparison. So the 5 of Turner might have a shot at second place and potentially could close in the gap in enough time to get to your race leader. It's only about 1.7 seconds here, coming to 18 laps to go.
Just like what we were talking about earlier, we don't talk about Turner that much, but he is there. He is always there. A very strong run in this first round of the playoffs, and that's extremely important. You know, you don't always have to win, but you have some consistent runs, you can make it to the end. So Turner, we've always known a strong driver here. Now he's going to set out, try to get second position as he sees Vargas out ahead. He's going to seek for him.
He's going to have to ruffle Vargas's feathers, though. That La Mirada, California native is not going to go away without a fight. He's going to hold it up on the outside lane. Vargas going to stay up there, door to door, back to turn 1 for a second. Now, every bit of time that they spend side by side is going to be Turner's loss here in comparison to Cole. Looks like he gets around car number 26. He's now only 1.5 seconds away from his first career Monday Night Racing victory in the midst of the playoffs. Now he has to catch up to the 51 and Scott get through a heap of lap traffic. Connor Berry right in front. Then there's Corey Deucer in the 04. Monin Rahman, the next car in line before you get to the 51. But the gap is now down, has crunched to about 1.4 seconds.
You know, we've got a few laps to go. We've got just about 14 to go. It's going to be close. If Turner can keep up this pace, he might just get there. But if Cole has anything left in the tank, he's going to be going for it now. So we're just going to see if Turner can keep hold of this pace, smooth and cut past those lap cars, try to keep it smooth, keep his fast times. But right now he's running very quick and quicker than we expected.
And also, mind you, the 39 of Chase Cabry, he has moved up to 4th. Just got around Presley Sora as Cole Cabry found the inside of Joey Padgett there. He shut the door and it slowed him down. So that is good news for Bailey Turner. He's within 8/10.
This is very much doable now. Now Turner is he's seen that up ahead of him. He's close enough to have seen it, and now he knows. He's like, the leader is right there. I have a chance to win this. I am good enough to win it. I can do it. So now he's just going to run as consistently, smoothly as he can. Tell Deucer to get out of the way. It's time for me to go get my win.
Well, the first chapter in all of this in Cole Cabry's route through lap traffic was that little moment where he almost got hit by Corey Deucer as he was getting held up by Gary Sexton. Now here, a fight with Joey Padgett that is still ongoing as Bailey Turner has crunched it in to 7/10 of a second. He still needs to get around Corey Deucer, who's the speed factor teammate of Cole Cabry, which might play an implicating role into all of this. But coming to 10 laps to go, Cole Cabry has broken free of that number 83. We'll see if he holds on to the top spot.
Joey Padgett has been giving Cole a really hard time. They've been talking on the radio for a while. Not quite sure what they said, but I imagine Cole wasn't the happiest with him holding up on the top there, slowing him down. But I also think that you're correct. Corey Deucer is the teammate of Cole, and I think he's going to be playing a little bit of a defensive game here, trying to slow up Turner and secure that win for Cole. So we're just going to have to see it, as now we'll see Bailey Turner on the outside of Deucer, but also being blocked by Padgett. Difficult position. He needs to get through this if he's going to have any chance at going to the front.
Well, he's going to send it here into turn 1 on the inside of the 04. Deucer's going to give him the space. So will Padgett. It still remains at around 9/10 of a second between the 5 and the 51. But all of this meddling with lap traffic is going to lose him more time as the 51 has somewhat broken into clean air. The 5 is still in this fight with the 83. Probably will see that settle out come the exit of turn 2. Looks like that will be the case over the bumps. Actually, never mind. Padgett will stay there. So now gap has ballooned to 1.1 seconds. Big savior here for Cole Cabry. 6 laps to go.
Well, I bet Cole's just a little bit happier that Joey is racing everyone like that, almost being the Ryan Newman of this race, racing everyone really hard, as now we'll see that gap at 1.2 with only 5 laps to go. There's a chance, but with Cole's speed, I just don't know anymore. Turner might have to settle for a great second place, but he's not going to give up with 4 to go.
Both of them are turning on the jets, clocking in laps inside the 18.9 second bracket, but Cole is still just an inch faster. So Cabry is going to stay there here with 4 laps to go, and the only lap traffic in sight for the 51 is the car up ahead, the 14 of Jordan Black, but there's still a significant gap back to him. So Cabry will just have to stay put while Bailey Turner has to get around another lapped car in the Canadian Jordan Buster.
You know, difficult. We think about if Cole would have just been held up just a little bit more there, Turner might come up just a little bit short this time. But man, we talk about it. He is having such a strong run, running this out. About 1.2 back, the gap is holding. So as we come to 2 to go here, but very frustrating for Turner as those lap cars held him up. But we've been dealing with lap traffic all day. We've seen plenty of the leaders and packs in difficult situations, but Cole is out here striding now, running to the finish as we're going to come to the white flag here out of 3 and 4.
Cole Cabry grabs the white flag from Barney the Flagman, and Bailey Turner remains 1.2 seconds off of the race leader. Gave it a fight to close in on the top spot, but Cole Cabry will remain dominant here from the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Second win in the playoffs. Cole Cabry takes the Mach 10 Digital 200.
Well, Bailey Turner will come home in second, Ryan Vargas in third, Chase Cabry, brother of Cole, in fourth, and Adam Cabot to round out the top 5. As we'll see Turner slide up beside Cole here, probably giving a little congratulations, maybe, who knows. But great race there to the finish.
And we'll take a look at the replay. This was Ryan Vargas in third place, Chase Cabry in fourth, right around the outside, battle to the line, beating and banging, but Ryan Vargas was able to hold on and take away the third spot. But Chase Cabry with a miraculous comeback on his late strategy call and remains in top 5 territory, so we'll give them good points. Both of them just giving each other some taps, giving their respects to each other as the race comes to a close. That was 7/1000ths of a second separating Vargas and Cabry for that last podium spot. But Cole Cabry takes away the win here in the Mach 10 Digital 200. We'll step aside for a moment, post-race coverage on the other side here on Podium Esports.
Mach 10. Let's give Mach 10.
For the first and final race in the fairgrounds since season 1, Monday Night Racing delivered with a swimmingly clean race, and it is Cole Cabry who took the pole for the third time this season, on top at the end of a race for the second time in the playoffs. Cole Cabry dominates this one at the end by 1.3 seconds over the next car in line, Bailey Turner, who made a surprise appearance late. Got really close to crunching in on the race leader, but did not have enough time. Ryan Vargas completes a phenomenal top 3 run, and Chase Cabry pitted rather late in the stint under green flag circumstances, recovered to 4th, and lost out to a podium spot by 7/1000ths of a second. You heard that right, 7/1000ths of a second. It was ridiculously close between those two at the start-finish line. Adam Cabot completes a solid first round of the playoffs with a top 5 finish. Presley Sora, the Indiana native, moves over to P6 after starting in 12th. 7th place goes to Christopher Tate, who ran well at the beginning of this race, led a bunch of laps, but just fell back in the later runnings. Joshua Slate surprisingly runs up to 8th place. Jordan Black in 9th, and rounding out the top 10, the Speed Factor Ford Mustang of Corey Deucer, first car, 1 lap down.
And in 11th, we'll have the 96 of Colin Fern. Great race tonight. Had to pit near the end. Dropped in down the running order a little bit. Then in 12th, we'll have our man, Joey Paget. Love him, giving everyone a hard time out there. The Ryan Newman of the night. Then in 13th, the 3 of Gary Sexton. Good run tonight, but probably not what he needed for that playoff picture. We'll see how the points run out, but he ran and gave it everything he had. In 14th, we'll have the 12 of Brandon Brown. 15th, the 02 of Connor Berry. Again, maybe not what he needed for these playoffs, but a good, strong run for him. In 16th, the 07 of Ford Martin. 18th, the 8 of Jordan Buster. And in 18th, Monin Rahman in the 44. 19th, Brett Baldeck in the 4. And to round out our top 20, DJ Cummings in the 10, who ended up pitting.
And the final 3 in our field, well, final 2 rather, Nick Olson in the 24. He disconnected midway through the race. He is 21st. And Matt Stolnick in the number 41 machine concludes the 22 car field here in the Mach 10 Digital 200 from the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Let's head to the small victory lane here at the fairgrounds and join Cole Cabry, who takes his second career Monday Night Racing victory and second in the playoffs. Cole, there has to be some kind of relationship between long green flag strategy races and you getting the win at the end. Homestead, was that green from start to finish? You dominatingly took that win. Tonight here at Nashville Fairgrounds, you dominate under green flag, long run circumstances. What seems to be working for you greatly right now to give you all this momentum and tonight's second win of the season?
I don't know, man. I'm usually not a fan of these long runs. I like short races as hard as we can go and, have at it. So I don't know, something's clicking and, I just have a good group of guys, watching over these races and tell me what's going on. So if it wasn't for them, I think I would still be out there on the same set of tires. But yeah, no, like you said, I've had some good runs here on the long run races. So yeah.
It's just a lot of success over this first round. And let's talk about the challenge here of Nashville Fairgrounds with these late model stock cars. You guys were initially prepping for Richmond. I know Chase had said that he was definitely excited for that race going into the week after the holiday and New Year break, but then they changed the track. Talk us through your thought process as you got that announcement and your preparations ahead of this race.
Yeah, no, I mean, we all had our sights set on Richmond, and I even try to run some laps there and, get prepared. But it was a good switch up because I'm sure there's many other people that had a lot more laps than I did. So it was a good surprise. And, these cars, I'm not a big fan of these cars either. They kind of race like, go-karts. So, around Nashville, it's fun though. We had some bumps around this track and, you had a safe tire. So, yeah, like you said, it was a good switch up.
And now you move on to the second round with possibly the most momentum out of anyone in the series at this point, knocking down 2 of 3 in this first round. You head over to Kentucky Speedway next week with the Gen 4 cars, a vehicle that you've definitely been known to be very stout at if you're talking about recent history. What's your approach now for this second round as you get to take on some of the drivers in Group C?
Oh, just keep doing what we're doing. I got a little aggressive tonight with the lap cars, so try not to get on anyone's nerves. Keep on their good side and just keep logging laps and letting the races fall in my lap. We've been doing a good job at that, staying out of trouble and not driving over our heads. So just looking forward to getting back into Gym 4. Those cars are so fun. Yeah.
Final thing, before we let you go and continue the celebrations here from the virtual fairgrounds, I was looking at the drivers in Group C. Ryan Vargas is one of them who finished third tonight, but the other is your brother, Chase Cabry. So what do you tell him as you approach the second round? You guys are going to go head to head.
Oh yeah, we can't test together, No, he's really good. I mean, he had like 7 seconds on this field at one point tonight. So it just all depends on how the race falls for both of us. But to be completely honest, I think he has a little more raw speed than I do in some places. So it's definitely going to be a good race between him and I if we can make it to the final round. And yeah, I mean whoever else is with us. So all in all, it's going to be a good race. And just have to get my guys back. Speed Factor, huge thank you, Alex. I think this is our last season, to have M&R. So definitely going to be an emotional one, but it's going to be fun.
Well, the nighttime is the right time, but the playoffs seem to be the right time for you. You get your second win of the season in dominating fashion at the end. On behalf of all of our members in Podium Esports, our broadcast team, congratulations on the win, Cole. We're so excited to see you advance into the next round. We'll see what you can do then. Good luck at Kentucky, but until then, congratulations on the W.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So that's Cole Cabry, driver of the 51. He'll go head-to-head with his brother Chase in just 1 week time at Kentucky Speedway. He closes out this race with his second win of the season. Behind him is the 5 of Bailey Turner, with the California native is joined alongside by Scott Shive.
Bailey, welcome in. Man, what a finish. I love talking to you, but sadly I'm talking to you. I wanted you to be talking to Kenneth tonight in first place. Tell me about that run to the finish. We talked about during this race, you are such a consistent driver that sometimes we don't talk about you that much, but you're always there. What was that run to the end right there, and you just appearing in the top 5, running down to the second and trying to run down Cole?
Yeah, I mean, the first run of the race, I had no idea what I was doing. I came into the session pretty late and was fixing my computer for the last 20 minutes of practice. And I think I got like maybe 20 laps in and was really just trying to figure out, what to do and kind of taking it easy for those first, 50 to 60 laps. And then once everybody else started to fall off, that tire saving kind of came in handy and drove up into the top 5. And then at that point, I had pitted with that first group thinking that, if we go caution free for the rest of the race, I'd have enough fuel to make it. And that didn't even come into play because the right front, I think I was at about 6% when I pitted. So glad I pitted when I did, or didn't blow out right front like I know some of these other guys did. And that whole last run just had the brake bias dialed back and, saved for the first 30 laps because I only took right sides and was thinking that, I was going to kill my right front. And then once Presley got to me, I was able to hold him off a little bit with the air bubble. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to see if I can start trying to push a little bit. And then I don't know if it was the track changing or just that little extra pace I was getting out of the car, managed to start picking up a couple tenths a lap and drove away from him and then realized, lap traffic was probably doing me a few favors there and making it interesting for the broadcast. But just, I think Cole did a really good job there and was able to save just enough to make it. Make it ahead of me. So congrats to him. That was a pretty fun race to the end there. Just wish, like you said, wish I wasn't talking to you, wishing I was talking to Kenneth right now. Yeah. But yeah, really fun race at the end. I really wasn't even thinking about this. I was like, all right, as long as I get out here with the top 15, I'm gonna, make it in for the next round, and that's all that really matters with these playoffs. It's just beating the other guys in that in that group. So yeah, we did our job the last 3 weeks, and time to figure out who I'm gonna be racing. Probably a little tougher group, but see if we're up for the challenge.
Well, with Colin Fern rounding out your group, finishing 11th and you finishing second, I've got to say, I believe you're solidly at the top of your group. Moving on to the next round, talking about the playoffs, what's that look like? What is your mindset going into the second round? You just talked about, you're going to be facing tougher guys. What's your outlook on these next 3 races?
Let me figure out what 3 races we're going to next. Yeah, so I think like Kentucky, Daytona, Auto Club. Yeah, I feel like Gen 4 Kentucky, hasn't been one of my favorite tracks, but I feel like car track combo. I feel, I'm one of the oval guys. I feel like, put me in an oval race and I'll try to get, even on my bad days, I'll be there in the top 10 at the back end there. But yeah, the Daytona Road Course I feel like is the real wild card out of all the races that are really left in the series. I've had some really bad luck there in the past. I've had netcode take me out on that turn 1 entry by pit road, and somehow a guy that's 2 feet off the wall netcodes into the wall and takes me out behind him. So just hoping that nothing crazy like that happens, and just taking these things 1 week at a time. You can't really look ahead too far. It's all right, look at the guys that are around you, see what you can do to manipulate strategy if you're having a bad day, and kind of salvage a good finish, and that's all that really matters at this point.
Well, I love talking to you, Bailey. Hopefully, at some point, I'm not talking to you and you're in victory lane, getting that win that you've been working so hard for. But it's going to be very exciting watching you through this next round of the playoffs. Congratulations. Before I let you go, anyone else you'd like to thank?
Yeah, Dennis Faircloth for putting these paint schemes together. I always love how these Celsius cars look each week. Also, Adam Cabot for helping me fix my triple monitors about 20 minutes before the race. So always a good teammate over there.
Your cars are always looking good. Thank you so much, Bailey. We'll see you next week. Well, that was Bailey Turner, and now in the booth, we're going to have Ryan Vargas, our third place finisher, the man who is always so exciting to talk to. We'll have him with Kenneth right here.
Indeed, here with Ryan Vargas. And Ryan, man, I want to talk about that run with Chase Carey to the start-finish line. I mean, it was basically door-to-door there, but let's talk overarching storyline of this race. We had a lot of strategy in it. You were kind of in the middle of all that. What did you make of the 2 sets given? What did you make of all the long green flag run racing, and what did you feel behind the wheel on the way to third?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the limited tire sets really made this race pretty interesting. I mean, late model racing in general, you don't get a lot of tire sets, so it kind of actually led to itself a pretty realistic style of racing in terms of how you had to be mindful of what you got underneath you. But I felt confident in my critical path security late model. Everything I just felt comfortable with the setup. Car drove great. I felt comfortable racing everybody. The setup they put in it was good. It's easy to burn your stuff up. I did that in that first half. I was running comfortably in like 6th or 7th, just vibing, doing as little as I could, and then all of a sudden I just dropped off the pack and suddenly was just spinning out every corner, and I didn't know what the heck was happening. And sure enough, I blew a right rear, and I drove out 2 laps with a blown right rear. So it was a bit of a hectic situation there, trying to get on the pit road, but I was pretty happy with how it all went down.
And then just kind of fighting tooth and nail between all of those drivers around you, and talk about points as well. You and Chase Caber, just sort of in the mix there. What kind of were you thinking in that scenario? Just kind of fighting against other drivers and thinking about, hey, there's playoffs going in. We've got some weird groups going on, brackets going on. We're racing at the fairgrounds instead of Richmond. Like, what's going on? And kind of what were you thinking in that sense in terms of points racing? Or did you feel rather comfortable after Talladega?
Felt comfortable. I mean, at the end of the day, too, like me and Chase raced really good all the time. We leaned into each other a little bit coming to the line. I mean, that's just side by side short track racing right there, and I would have expected the same from him. Just an absolute blast racing with him. I always enjoy racing with him. He normally is the one in front in these situations, so I guess it's cool to come out on top at least by the slimmest of margins. But no, he and Cole have been lights out this season, and I think we moved on with those finishes, both me and Chase, I think it is. I don't know for sure yet. But regardless, it just feels really good to get critical path security back in the top 3 again after that win at Talladega. Just stoked. Had an absolute blast tonight. Felt good to kind of play the strategy. Kind of by accident. I decided on the whim, coming onto pit road, to take 2 instead of 4. And it ended up being the right call. So just really happy tonight in my critical path late model.
First place at Talladega, third place here at Nashville Fairgrounds. You get to the next round, and as they're going to bunch up you and Chase Cabre, surely the advances of Group C with Group A, Cole Cabre and Adam Cabot got some stout competition ahead of you going into the next round. So what do you make of that, and how do you try to approach that in the next 3 races?
Just vibe, man. Just vibe. I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing, man. It got me to where I am. And that's been my strat for a lot of the time in Monday Night Racing. Even when I don't win races, just being consistent, locking in top 3, top 5 finishes. If you go a whole round finishing top 5, top 3 instead of winning a race and then finishing last in the next one. So that's the name of the game, is consistency, making sure you're there at the end of these races. And just all season long, I felt pretty lights out in that field. If I'm able to avoid some of the chaos, so it's been a lot of fun. Honestly, this has been a really good season at M&R, and I've been pretty happy with just the racing this year. And there's, I'm very excited for what these next races are going to look like.
I like that approach though, for sure. Just to vibe, feel it out, take the less stress away on the way to an M&R championship in the final season. Performing really well over this first round. Can't wait to see what you're going to cook up with the Gen 4s at Kentucky. And furthermore, Ryan, we certainly appreciate the time as always. Congratulations on the top 3 finish here from the Fairgrounds. We'll see you at Kentucky next week.
Sounds good. I'll be there with my critical path security car.
So Ryan Vargas takes over third here from the Fairgrounds. He closes out our podium sector of tonight's race from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, not the Super Speedway. So Scott, I mean, we had it all in this race, and certainly what I've noticed is the cleanliness of these events. Homestead Miami Speedway, gave us the first taste of that for sure in playoff territory. You go green from lap 1 to 166. In Talladega, you're going to have those cautions come in, but we saw a lot of phenomenal racing in the meantime while we were green. Tonight at Nashville, we only had 1 yellow at a 0.596 mile racetrack. That's something we don't expect, but it's something that we certainly welcome with open arms. We had phenomenal racing, and Cole Cabry putting on an absolute statement to the rest of the field, saying he is a driver to be worried about as we move forward and get to crunch time to decide the 4 that'll make it to the championship race.
Really surprised about the amount of cautions as well as you. I really thought we were going to have more just because, again, nothing on the drivers, but this track, these cars, they're difficult. So some incidents can happen, but these drivers kept it really clean, provided an amazing race for all the guys out there, all the fans watching. But you're right, Cole, he has made a statement tonight. And the other guys running up front, Turner, Chase, Ryan Vargas, those 4 guys have said, hey, we're here. If you doubted us, you need to stop, because we're the top 4 tonight. We're the guys that we can go and do it, and we're a threat for that championship. So it was a great race tonight. We've got a great top 8 coming in here. I'm pretty sure we know who they are once we divvy out our points, but we're going to have an absolutely amazing second round with these top 8 guys.
So on the unofficial side of things, on behalf of my judgment here, which probably isn't the best, but we'll take it for now anyway, Cole Cabry, Adam Cabot advanced from Group A. Group B seems to be Colin Fern and Bailey Turner. Looks like they will move on. Group C will be Chase Cabry, who finished 4th, Ryan Vargas, who we just talked to, who came in 3rd. Group D might be a little more complicated with how it all settles out, just because Michael Fisher and Alex Monteferrante did not make the race. Points were given to Joshua Slate, who ran, but for now, we can assume that it's Presley Sora at the top of that bunch, then Michael Fisher right behind. Again, unofficial list of the 8 drivers that will make it to the next round once we come back next Monday night at Legacy Kentucky Speedway with the Gen 4 cars. Scott, let's talk about this for a little bit, because the next 4 races, 3 of those will feature the Gen 4 car, including the championship finale at Chicagoland Speedway. So this race, in essence, is going to be massively important for drivers to take handle of the Gen 4 car, take on Legacy Kentucky, and see how they can propel forward into the championship 4 round.
The Gen 4 is a statement of M&R. As we know, that car, all of these drivers are well versed in that car. But you're right, this race next week is going to be a bit of a show, maybe a bit of a preview for what that championship race might look like. So I definitely see this next week as being something very important to drivers. But what's the most important, yes, you look ahead to that championship, but before you do that, you got to lock yourself into the championship race to be fighting for that. So I know those drivers may be thinking about that, but they're more going to be thinking about, all right, we're coming into Kentucky. I need to get a good finish here. I need to continue to rack up points, stay out of trouble, be consistent, run my race. That's what those guys are going to be thinking about. That, and with that mindset, they can do it, and we'll see which 4 guys will be the ones.
In the words of the late great Kobe Bryant, job's not finished. Still a long way left to go in these Monday Night Racing Pro Series playoffs. We'll get closer to whittling down the drivers who will run for the championship at season's end in Chicagoland Speedway. That does it for us here from the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. For Ford Martin and everyone at Monday Night Racing, for Brandon Davis and Michael Hall in Race Control, for Ryan Bauer at Podium Esports, our camera builder Dougie Beard, our overlay builder Michael Hall, Cameron Aubernon on our social media as always, and for the crew on the broadcast tonight, for our producer Eddie Smith And for my colleague in the booth, Scott Shive, I'm Kenneth Bueno. Farewell from the Nashville Fairgrounds. We'll see you at Legacy, Kentucky 1 week from tonight to kick off the second round of the M&R playoffs in Season 7.